I was halfway through my morning coffee when the universe decided to hit me with a special kind of wake-up call, the kind that smacks you with cold reality, not caffeine. You ever have a day start so sideways, nothing good's coming? Yeah, that's how mine started. I heard this crunch, this ugly metal-on-ice sound, and right away I just knew something was about to get very expensive very fast. So there I was, standing in my living room in Beaverton, Oregon, staring out at a world that looked more like a hockey rink than a neighborhood. Whispering Pines, where I've lived for 15 years, was covered in this thick layer of frozen mess. The ice storm had hit hard, harder than anything I'd seen here. 3 days, not a single degree above freezing. Power lines down all over the place, cars in ditches, newscasters warning everyone to stay inside. I've been counting my blessings that I could work from home. IT consultant, one of those jobs where remote is not just a perk, it's survival. No need to risk my neck on those skating rink streets. But that crash? That got me up. I set down my coffee, goodbye, peace, and went to the window. Didn't want to look. Knew I had to. And there it was, a silver Lexus, nose jammed up against my garage door like it was trying to climb inside and warm up. You ever see something so obvious, but you still have to stand there and argue with yourself? Maybe it's not what it looks like? Yeah, that was me. But nope, it was exactly what it looked like. The car had come sliding down from the street, right down my sloped driveway, which on a good day is just a driveway, but after an ice storm, turns out it's basically a bobsled run. I pulled on my coat, stepped out, careful because that ice was like glass, walked down the driveway, and before I could even get a look at the damage, I saw the license plate. Not just any random plate. No, this was personalized, a name spelled out big and bold. Patricia Hendrick. And right then, my stomach did this little drop. Because if you've ever lived in an HOA, there's always one. The enforcer. The person who loves rules more than people. For us, that was Patricia. She climbs out of the car, hair perfect, lips set in a line that could slice bread. She looked around like she owned the street. The president of our HOA for the past 8 years, 52, aggressive blonde bob, always armed with a clipboard and a complaint. I'd only dealt with her 3 times, and every time I'd gotten a violation notice for something ridiculous. Mailbox paint too dull. Trash cans visible for 15 minutes after pickup. Once, she tried to write me up for a bird feeder. Patricia took one look at me and didn't even bother with a hello. Just, Brandon, call a tow truck. Immediately. No, are you okay? No apology, just that tone that says, you work for me now. I asked if she was all right. She just waved me off. The roads are a disgrace. The city should be ashamed. I pointed to my garage, which now had a big dent in the middle. You hit my property. She barely looked. A little dent. My car might have real damage. The front end could be ruined. She started telling me about how the accident was my fault. My driveway, she said, was hazardous, not compliant. She'd have to check the HOA guidelines. I stood there in the cold, thinking, is this really happening? Patricia, in her infinite wisdom, was trying to pin this on me. I tried to keep calm, said I'd call the tow truck, but told her we'd need to exchange insurance. She looked at me like I'd just suggested we swap social security numbers. This was an act of God, she snapped. The storm caused this, not me. And if anything, your driveway's the problem. Now, if you've never had a neighbor like Patricia, you might think nobody really acts like that. Oh, but they do. Some folks, you give them a taste of power, a title, a little badge, maybe just a clipboard, and it's like they forget how to be human. I called Pete's Towing, the only people in town who answer the phone during a storm like this. 2 to 3 hours, the dispatcher said. Patricia was not impressed. Tell them it's an emergency, she barked. I shrugged. They're busy with real emergencies. Your car isn't going anywhere. She glared. Fine. I'll wait in my vehicle. I offered her a spot inside. She declined, as if the air inside my house might violate the HOA somehow. But after about 20 minutes, the cold got to her. She knocked, and before she could even say anything, she swept past me into my living room. Sat down, started critiquing my pillows, my grass under the ice, and yes, the mailbox. I notice you still haven't replaced it, she said, sipping the coffee I gave her like it was medicine. She told me she'd be sending me a formal notice. Your car is denting my garage door right now, Patricia. That's entirely separate, she sniffed. My duties as HOA president don't stop because of an accident. It was 2 hours of that. Critique after critique, while I tried to work, tried to ignore the queen of the neighborhood parked on my couch. When the tow truck finally pulled up, I almost hugged the driver. He took one look at the scene, whistled low. That's quite a slide. Lucky it wasn't worse. Patricia started ordering him around, but he handled it like a pro, got the Lexus unstuck, revealed the damage. My garage door was crumpled in, paint scraped. Patricia's SUV, a little cracked, but mostly her pride was hurt. $250 for the tow, the driver said. Patricia spun to me. You'll need to pay. I actually laughed. You're kidding, right? She glared. Your unsafe driveway caused this. She tried to tell the driver to bill me. He wasn't having it. I need payment now, ma'am. Patricia threw her card at him like she was throwing a grenade. She left me standing in the driveway, promising a bill and a stack of citations. And you know what? She followed through. 3 days later, the ice melted, the world thawed out, and in my mailbox, a letter. Violations for everything. Rusty mailbox, grass a 1/4 inch too long, driveway unsafe, and a demand for the towing fee. I read that letter 3 times, getting angrier each time. That's when I snapped. I called a lawyer. Martinez and Associates. Robert Martinez himself picked up. Let me get this straight, he said. She slides into your house, damages your garage, and wants you to pay. He was sharp, all business. He asked if there'd ever been any complaints about my driveway before. Not a single one, I said. The driveway had been there since the 90s. The mailbox, the grass. These were all things Patricia was weaponizing after the accident. Mr. Lewis, Robert said, this is textbook retaliation. She's using her position to harass you because you stood up to her. He was in. We drafted a response, denied all violations, filed a claim with her insurance, and got 3 quotes for the garage door repair. $800 to $1,200. I documented everything. Photos, emails, police report. Patricia doubled down, sending another letter saying the appearance of my garage door was now a violation because of damage she caused. That was the last straw. Robert called for an emergency HOA board meeting. I walked in that night, Robert at my side, and the room was packed. People were curious. Or maybe they had their own stories to tell. Robert laid out everything. The accident, the blizzard of violations, the circular logic. Mrs. Hendrick damaged my client's property, then used her role to harass him. Patricia tried to defend herself, saying she'd just been doing her job. But the board wasn't buying it. Donald, the vice president, actually stood up for me. Margaret, the treasurer, admitted she'd reviewed the files. There were no complaints about my property before. All the past complaints Patricia had filed had either been overruled or tossed out. Residents started speaking up. Robert with the wreath, Jennifer with the chalk. The board voted 4-1 to drop all violations against me, and, best of all, required Patricia to get board approval for any future complaints she wanted to send out. You'd think that'd be the end, right? Wrong. 2 weeks later, a letter from Patricia's personal lawyer arrived, claiming I owed her for damages to her car because my attractive nuisance of a driveway had lured her in, like some sort of siren song for luxury vehicles. Robert almost fell out of his chair laughing. That's for swimming pools, Brandon. We're ignoring it. Patricia's insurance paid for my garage repairs. But she wasn't done. A city inspector showed up. Someone had filed a complaint, claiming I'd made unpermitted changes to the driveway. Tom, the inspector, did his job, measured everything, poked around, shook his head. You're clear, he said. We're getting a lot of these lately, all from the same person. It's unusual. That's when I decided enough was enough. Robert filed a lawsuit for harassment and abuse of authority. We asked for damages, legal fees, everything. Patricia was served an HOA board meeting, right in front of everyone. She tried to get the case tossed, said she was just enforcing rules, but the judge wasn't having it. Set a hearing, and in the meantime, the board dug through years of her decisions, found a pattern, selective enforcement, made-up rules, personal vendettas. Donald called me. We're starting proceedings to remove her. Patricia threatened to sue everyone. Nobody cared. The judge, when the case finally hit court, didn't mince words. Did you slide into Mr. Lewis's property? Did you file new violations that never existed before? Patricia tried to dodge, but the judge pressed. Yes or no? She had to admit it. Yes, yes, yes. The judge called it what it was: retaliation and harassment. Patricia's lawyer offered settlement. She'd pay my legal fees, apologize, drop all claims. I asked for one more thing. She had to resign from the board. After some whispering, she agreed. A week later, she was out. Donald took over as president, and the mood in Whispering Pines changed almost overnight. Life got better. The fake violations vanished. The garage door was fixed. For the first time in years, the rules actually made sense. Neighbors started talking again, helping each other out. No more nitpicking over lawn height or mailbox color. It felt like a community again, not a dictatorship. But karma? Karma wasn't quite finished with Patricia. A month later, I got a call for Detective Morrison with the Beaverton Police. Patricia had filed false police reports, claimed I and others were threatening her. There was no evidence. My phone records clear me completely. Turns out, she'd been trying to set up a narrative where she was the victim. Didn't work. She got charged with filing false reports. Went to trial, got convicted, fined, community service, a restraining order. By Thanksgiving, she and her husband had packed up and left. Moved to California. The neighborhood breathed easier. Donald, now president for real, rewrote the rules. Everything had to be signed off by 2 board members. Nobody was getting fined for a bird feeder ever again. One Saturday in December, I was stringing up Christmas lights, way more than usual just because I could, and Greg, my neighbor, came by with a beer. You know, you gave the rest of us courage, he said. We always wanted to push back, but never thought we could. It hit me then. Sometimes you just have to stand up, not just for yourself, but for everyone else stuck in the same mess. One stubborn person refusing to back down is all it takes to break the spell. The rules are important, sure, but they can't be used as a hammer to keep people scared. Spring came. The neighborhood threw a potluck. People actually smiled. Kids drew on sidewalks, built snowmen on my lawn. Nobody cared. It was just nice. The way it should be. You know, I still think about Patricia sometimes. Wonder if she ever figured out why things went so sideways. Doubt it. Some folks never learn. But that's not my problem anymore. So, what do you think? Is it right to fight back when someone in power crosses the line? Or should we just keep our heads down and hope things get better? Ever had a neighbor like Patricia? Tell me about it. Let's hear your stories, because trust me, standing up might be a pain, but there's nothing sweeter than finally seeing the bully back down in your driveway. Just being a driveway again.
Cảm ơn tất cả các bạn đã xem video.